experts say 3 is the most stressful number of children that parents can have. Once you start having kids, you may feel the urge to have another and another, until one day you're sat wondering how you ended up having to buy an 8-seater car. Alternatively, you may just be happy with 1 or 2 and feel no need to have any more. It's totally up to you. But if you're planning on having exactly 3 children, it's worth bearing in mind that you may be in for a super stressful time, even more so than parents who have 4 or more, according to experts. No matter how many kids you have, juggling all the various ins and outs of family life is undeniably hectic. Trying to stay on top of the housework, manage a career and make sure the kids are well fed and looked after can be a real struggle for many, and with good reason. But most parents would also tell you that it's well worth it. And you'd be forgiven for thinking that the anxiety incurred by kids will only increase as you have more. But according to one study, that's not actually the case. While parents do become more stressed when they have their 2nd and 3rd child, that's as bad as it gets. By the time a 4th comes along, in fact, stress levels apparently go down. It's worth noting, though, that fewer people expand their clan beyond 2 children than they have done in the past. Indeed, based on statistics from the U.S. Census Bureau, the average family size in the U.S. in 2017 was only made up of 3.14 individuals. But there are still some who choose to have 3, 4 or even more kids, including plenty of famous parents. Take Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, for instance, who brought their 3rd child, Chicago, into the world in January 2018. Prince William and wife, Kate, meanwhile, followed suit in April 2018 with the birth of their 3rd child, Prince Louis. But according to one study, these well-known couples may have just joined the ranks of the most stressed-out parents in the world. In April 2013 Today published the results of research that covered in excess of 7,000 mothers in the U.S. and the results showed that while moms of 3 kids seem to have higher levels of strain than those of 1 or 2, moms of 4 or more were apparently relatively chilled out by comparison, effectively stating that 3 children is the most stressful number to have. The survey had asked participants to report their own stress levels on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the least stressed and 10 being the most. Perhaps not surprisingly, a typical mom, no matter how many kids she had, ranked herself at 8.5. But it was the moms of 3, in particular, who pushed that average up. And much of what was, and still is, troubling the moms of America is fairly obvious. Financial worries often come into play, for instance. Their significant others apparently aren't much help, either, since nearly half of mothers said that their other halves are the source of even more stress than their kids. And, of course, maintaining the equilibrium between work and home life also ranks high on the list of worries. But there are also a few other factors that affect moms. For instance, even though it may look like they're often trying to compete with their fellow parents, sometimes they're actually just piling pressure on themselves. You always hear about the mommy wars, but I feel like we're judging ourselves more harshly than anyone else. Jill Smokler, creator of parenting website Scary Mommy, told Today in 2013. And according to the 7,164 moms surveyed, it's not just the number of kids you have that affects stress levels but their gender too. How? Well, 6 out of 10 participants agreed that girls are more troublesome to raise than boys. Meanwhile, a whopping 90% of moms said that they fret about their looks and fitness levels. Yes, it appears there are a number of external factors that can stress mothers out, even beyond just the number of kids they have. But the overall results of the survey are still the same: 3 is the magic number. And mom of 3 Smokler appeared to agree with the research's findings. She said to Today, going from 1 to 2 was an easy, breezy transition. From 2 to 3, everything was turned upside down. I did not feel like I had it together, just crossing the street and not being able to physically hold all their hands I found tremendously stressful. Indeed, while 2 kids and 2 parents are equally matched, a 3rd child is the tipping point into being outnumbered. But having a greater number of offspring isn't going to change the fact that this imbalance exists. And according to psychiatrist and mom of 4 Dr. Janet Taylor, that's exactly why parents don't feel as stressed once they have their 4th child. Dr. Taylor explained that while parents may stress themselves out making sure that they do everything right for the first 3 kids, those worries disappear with a 4th. There's just not enough space in your head for perfectionism when you get to 4 or more kids, she told Today. It just gets to be survival. Of course, that doesn't mean that Dr. Taylor nor any other parents become lax when it comes to their 4th kid. It just means they're more experienced and therefore worry less about the little things. The more children you have, the more confident you become in your parenting abilities, Dr. Taylor added. You have to let go, and then you're just thankful when they all get to school on time. There are ways to make having so many kids more manageable too, according to mom of 4 Karen Hobart Flynn. For instance, she didn't allow her boys to do multiple after-school activities, so sports and Boy Scouts were an either-or choice. But she told Today that it didn't hold them back, as they all played sports as teens. And there are actually some easily identifiable advantages to having 4 kids rather than 3. When they're playing together, none of them have to be a third wheel, they'll just go off in pairs instead, said Flynn. What's more, her son's friends would always be eager to come to their house, because with 4 of them it was an immediate party. Nevertheless, the Today survey doesn't mean all moms agree that 3 children is the most stressful number. Writing for the Daily Express in 2014, mom of 3 Heidi Scrimgore said, "If you're contemplating a 3rd child, I can only tell you this. A 3rd baby didn't increase our stress levels, instead, she anchored us and made our family feel complete." Meanwhile, in a 2015 piece for the Daily Telegraph, Becky Dickinson claimed that having 3 kids is actually more rewarding, even if it is more stressful. In reality, 3 children means the fridge door is always open, the laundry basket is always full and you never get enough sleep, she said. But there is also laughter, and screaming, fun, noise and life in abundance. But while stress levels may differ from person to person, the results of the Today survey suggest that, on the whole, most moms agree that 3 kids really are the hardest to handle. So, if you're deciding whether to go for broke and have a 3rd child, that's probably worth bearing in mind. Thank you for watching video.